Tom Hartman here on the best of the rest of the news. In our Need to Know segment, Alternate has an article today, Why Germany Has It So Good and Why America is Going Down the Drain by Terrence McNally. While the headlines about strikes, terrorism, and Islamophobia in Europe are making the news in the U.S., we're hearing nada about how the European Union, 27 member nations with around 500 million people, about a third larger than the U.S., has become the biggest, wealthiest trading bloc in the world, producing nearly a third of the world's economy, outdoing the U.S. and China combined. Europe is now home to more Fortune 500 companies than either the U.S., China, or Japan. European Union spends less than America for universal health care, which is rated by the World Health Organization as the best on the planet, while the U.S. healthcare system is ranked at a measly 37th in the world, and 40 million Americans have no access to health care other than the ER. Europe leads in tackling global climate change and is twice as energy efficient as the U.S., creating hundreds of thousands of new jobs in the process. Their ecological footprint, the amount of the Earth's capacity that a population consumes, is around half that of the United States for a similar standard of living. Americans work much longer hours than Europeans. On average, we work the equivalent of 9 extra 40-hour weeks per year. According to Thomas Gagan, who wrote the book, Were You Born on the Wrong Continent?, Germany has created a high-wage, unionized economy without shipping all its jobs abroad or creating a massive trade deficit or any trade deficit at all. And even as the Germans outsell the United States, they manage to take 6 weeks of vacation every year. They're beating us with one hand tied behind their back, end of quote. He added, quote, since 2003, it's not China, but Germany, that colossus of European socialism that has either led the world in export sales or at least been tied for first place. According to a new Bloomberg national poll, a deep economic gloom is pushing Tea Party voters to the polls. Half of self-identified Tea Partiers say they have no confidence that they will have a good retirement, a higher percentage than most other voters, and more than half say their children's quality of life will be worse than their own. Ironically, at the same time, these same Tea Party respondents were unanimous in saying the Tea Party stands for lower taxes, smaller government, and personal responsibility. 6 in 10 say they want government based on Christian principles. The Taliban? 8 of 10 party voters pledged to back the Pledge to America, the Republican Party's roadmap for governing if it gains control of Congress in the November 2nd elections. Most say they want a repeal of the health care reform law. 2/3 want to cut infrastructure like roads and bridges and would be willing to reduce research funds for Alzheimer's and other diseases to narrow the budget deficit. Few, however, want to abandon the Bush-era tax cuts due to expire in December that give tax breaks to billionaires. Those who identify with the Tea Party also take a harder line on illegal immigration. An interesting dynamic is beginning to emerge in California weeks before the midterms. Unlike other states, California is not expecting a massive drop in youth voter turnout. Why? Because of Prop 19 that will legalize and regulate marijuana. An unheard of 94% of young voters are aware of the ballot initiative, and according to public policy polling, huge majorities are planning to get out the vote to support it. Besides the fact that this is the right thing to do, as we'll discuss later on the show, it's also politically effective. There is no question that this surge in voters will help Democrats who are in dogfights across the state like Barbara Boxer and Jerry Brown. Every election year, Republicans go on their moral crusade with anti-gay measures, anti-same-sex measures, ballot measures to churn out the conservative vote. Now it appears the Democrats are finally getting their own benefits from a ballot measure, even if they didn't plan it that way.